Hello everyone, I am Dr. Durdana Oways from Department of Commerce, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. If it seems like your rupee is not fetching as much as it used to be, you are not imagining things. The cause for this is inflation. Recently, RBI report states that India's inflation rate is 7.8%. This is due to inflation. It is defined as a steady increase in prices and also the gradual reduction in the buying power of your money. So in this video lecture, we are going to understand what this inflation word is. Inflation is a macroeconomic indicator that measures the rate at which prices of goods and services in the economy are growing. It is also a social phenomena where too much money chases too few goods and services. As such, it demonstrates the rupee's loss of purchasing power. It is expressed as a percentage, and this percentage, this number, is the change from the previous year, change in the prices of goods and services. Inflation might be of concern since the value of money continuously falls during inflation. Going by the definition, Crowther defines inflation as a state in which the value of money is falling, and Calborn defines it as too much money chasing too few goods. Based on these two definitions, there are three main characteristics regarding inflation. The three characteristics are: first, persistent increase in the prices. There is continual increase in the prices, and this is the first and foremost distinguishing trait of inflation. Secondly, there is excessive supply of money in the economy. That is due to increase in maybe paper currency or bank credit. There is too much money in the economy. Thirdly, a vicious circle of inflationary spiral is existed. That is a vicious loop of inflationary spiral which is caused by the velocity of money that is in circulation. This is again a key element of inflation, and it is said that inflation feeds on itself and spirals out of control if left unchecked. Now, inflation can be of different types. On the basis of speed, we can define and differentiate, on the basis of employment level, on the basis of government reaction, and on the basis of causes. Let's see the first type. On the basis of speed, the first type is creeping or mild. Creeping or mild inflation happens when the price increase in a year is less than 3%. It usually does not impact the economy negatively, and it is considered as a positive sign of the growth of economy. The second type is walking inflation. Walking inflation occurs when the rate of inflation is more than 3% but less than 6%. Walking inflation again is not considered a cause of concern, but it do shows that there is continuous increase in the prices and it should be controlled. The third type under speed is running inflation. Running inflation occurs when the rate of inflation is more than 10%, or you can say between 10 to 20%. The running inflation harms the economy, and it is the poor and middle class families and households that are affected the most. The fourth type of inflation is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation, which is also known as galloping inflation. It is characterized by increase in prices which are more than 50%. It occurs when the economy's inflation is left unchecked. Coming to the second type of inflation, that is types of inflation on the basis of employment level. The first one is semi-inflation. Semi-inflation is described as an increase in general price level that is less than the full employment level. Now, Keynes have made a differentiation between full employment level and underemployment level. Keynes have said that generally price do not increase as long as there is idle capacity existing in the economy. Idle capacity means the factors of production are still existing and unused. So, when economy is expanding, the demand for factors of production are also increasing, and this increase in demand is leading to increase in prices, and this he called as semi-inflation. Next is pure inflation. Pure inflation occurs when the economy is operating at the maximum capacity. Keynes said that at maximum capacity, at peak, at boom, or at full employment level, all the resources are fully employed, and any change in prices that occur after that indicates that all the resources are already used, and now when the prices are increasing, it is purely due to shortage of goods, not due to shortage of factors of production or increase in optimism level. This is called as pure inflation. Third, on the basis of government reaction. On the basis of government reaction, inflation can be differentiated as open inflation and suppressed inflation. Open inflation occurs when the government makes an effort to check the prices or the price rise through price control mechanism and using different policies of various physical and monetary controls in order to suppress the increase in prices. It is called as suppressed inflation. Now, on the fourth basis, on the basis of cause, inflation can be categorized as currency inflation. Currency inflation occurs due to more supply of money in the economy. This may be due to government policies of taking more debt or printing more money or using more reserves. Secondly, it can be due to credit expansion. When financial institutions and commercial banks make additional loan to the public in order to increase their profit, the amount of money in circulation increases. This causes increase in the prices. This is referred to as credit inflation. Next is deficit induced inflation. Inflation caused by deficits, that is when the economy's expenditure surpasses its receipt, it is said to be in deficit. To fulfill this gap which has arisen due to difference between expenditure and revenue, the government resorts for deficit financing, that is it adopts method to fill this gap. These methods can include taking more loans. These loans can be from internally from the economy, that is internal debt, or externally through IMF, through World Bank. It can resort to printing more money, or it can resort to using more reserves. When any of the three methods is used to fulfill this deficit, it is called as deficit induced inflation. Now, fourth, demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation refers to the inflation which is caused due to increase in the demand for commodities, demand for products. Cost push inflation, that is the last one in this category. That is, cost push inflation refers to increase in the price level which is caused by increase in the cost of producing goods and services. The cost of manufacturing may increase, and as a result the prices of final goods and services that also increase. These were the types. Let's see what are the effects of inflation. The effects of inflation can be categorized into economic effects and social, political and other effects. Let's see the economic effects first. Let's have a look at the economic effects on various categories of individuals. The first one is producer class. When inflation occurs, goods prices increase while production costs stay constant. The reason is that the raw material has already been purchased and output cannot greatly be increased in the short run. So, the manufacturer is using the raw material that they have purchased previously. The price of the finished products is the cost of production, that is constant, but the price of the final products have been increased by the producer. This leads to the increase in profit of the producers. This increase in profit acts as a booster for them to have more production of goods and services. So, inflation is actually beneficial for the producer class. They benefit from the inflationary situations. Second comes the consumer class. The consumer class can be divided into two, one having fixed income and another one having variable income. The consumers which are having fixed income like salaries, they suffer because the prices of goods and services are increasing, but their salary is not increasing. On the other hand, the consumers which are having a variable income, they might benefit because their income can fluctuate, their income can vary with the rise in prices, although both of these categories do suffer from the increase in prices of goods and services, and as such their budget gets affected. The third one are the wage earners. Now, wage earners benefit also and suffer also during this time period of inflation. That depends whether they are able to find work or not. If there is work, then the wage earners will be having higher salaries in line with increasing prices. If they are not able to find work, then they have to sustain themselves with their existing resources. Fourth category is the debtors and creditors. The debtors benefit in inflationary situation while the creditors suffer. Why do they suffer? Because in inflation, the purchasing power of money decreases. So, when creditors will be getting back their money, the purchasing power had already been decreased and the debtors have already enjoyed the goods and services that they have purchased from this money. Fifth is imports and exports. During inflationary time, commodity prices increases rapidly, and as commodity price increases rapidly, countries' exports decline and imports increases. This has a negative impact, a detrimental impact on the economy as it destabilizes the international trade balance. Sixth is the investors group. Investors again fall into two categories. Investors which have invested their money in constant income category such as debentures, bonds and so on. So, their risk of money, even though they have a fixed income, they have a risk of losing their money because the purchasing power of money will decrease due to inflation. But investors who have invested in equity share capitals and others, they benefit from inflation because during that time period they receive a larger dividend. Now, last, government. What happens or what is the economic effect on the government? The government expenditure grows in inflation because they do have to keep on spending. Where do they spend? They spend in central level schemes. The government has to spend money on centrally sponsored scheme. They have to spend on maintaining employees, maintaining public works. As such, their expenditure keeps on increasing. Now, let's have a look at the social, political and other effects. During inflation, it is found that the economic disparity increases. The rich become richer and the poor become poorer. This happens due to the fact that the poor class, the lower income group are compelled to pay the increased prices, whereas the upper income group, the maximum part of profit and income during inflation, they are the beneficiaries. This creates a divide into the economy. Secondly, the impact on employment. During inflation phase, we have seen that producers benefit, their profit margin increases. When their profit margin increases, they are motivated to indulge in more production. When they are going to indulge in more production, they would definitely want more workers, and as such, it leads to higher employment rate in the economy. Third social impact is moral downfall. The profit of the business class increases. That's right. But that influences the glory of profit, influences the business class to indulge in artificial scarcity, adulteration, black marketing and other immoral activities. Fourthly, this inflationary situations encourage bravery and speculation. Everybody wants to get more and more income during inflation. As such, this bravery is seen in offices. The act of speculation is also increased, is seen to be increased during inflation. Next, banking development. People's income increased dramatically amid inflation, and as a result, bank deposits also increase. These deposits enable the bank to extend more credit. Higher the credit expansion in the economy, more are the business activities, and as such, inflation is advantageous in terms of banking development. Next is the political effect. Now, during inflationary period, what happens? If you would watch news, you will find that people's trust in the economy, in the government functioning, that erodes, and the opposition party attempts or attacks the government within the parliament also and outside the parliament also. And sometimes inflation can lead to change in governments also. Last, social impact, the social effect of inflation is hoarding. We see that the producers and dealers create an artificial scarcity of commodities in the market by stockpiling in order to have more profit from higher pricing, and as a result, consumers face a greater burden of inflation. These were the effects of inflation. Let's have a look at the causes. This question might be coming into your mind, that what causes inflation? The causes can be categorized into demand side and supply side. On the demand side, if there is increase in money supply due to more printing of money, or the government had put in more money in the economy, injected more money, then it will lead to inflation. Or if there is increase in disposable income due to decrease in taxes, these taxes can be direct taxes or indirect taxes, it will lead to inflation. Or increase in consumer spending due to psychological reasons, maybe like revenge buying. Okay. Then increase in public expenditure. Public expenditure means the expenditure that is made by the government. If the government expenditure increase, there will be more money flow in the economy. More money flow, higher will be the inflation. Maybe due to monetary policy. If CRR ratio is reduced, if rate of interest is reduced, then it will lead to more money flow in the economy. More the money with the individuals, more will be the demand for goods and services, because we know consumption is the function of income. If income is more with the individuals, their demand for goods and services will also be more. Next, maybe due to deficit financing. Deficit financing, that is the financing options that are availed by the government to meet the difference between higher expenditure and lesser revenue. The government can resort to borrowing or printing or using its own reserves. In all the three cases, it will lead to more money flow in the economy. And more money, more will be the demand for goods and services. Or due to expansion of private sector, more firms have entered into the sector, that will lead to more income with individuals, or repayment of public debt by the government. That is, when the government repays back the internal debt that is taken, again money flow in the economy is going to increase. The supply side causes include those factors that lead to decrease in the shortage of supply of goods and services. Okay, so first is maybe shortage of factors of production. This shortage of factors of production is leading to increase in increase in prices of goods and services. Second can be natural calamities which disrupt the production and distribution of goods and services. Due to decreased goods and services, prices will increase. Or it can be due to artificial scarcity done to have more profit. Or it can be due to increase in exports. The goods and services are aimed for the external or international market, and as such there is crunch in the domestic market. Due to this shortage of goods and services, the prices have increased. Or due to industrial dispute which lead to strikes, lockouts and disrupt the production. If production is disrupted, then supply of goods and services will decrease. Or due to law of diminishing returns. Law of diminishing returns says that even after a certain time, even if the industries or entrepreneurs are putting in more money, the return that they will get, the products that they are able to make, that will decrease. Or due to lopsided production, maybe due to inefficiencies or diseconomies of scale, the production has decreased. This decreased production will lead to shortage of goods and services. Or due to international factors like wars, that can also disrupt the production or the supply of raw material which is required for producing goods and services. Now, last, if the inflation occurs, what are the methods that are adopted by the government to control this? These methods can be categorized into three: monetary measures, fiscal measures and other measures. Monetary measures include the methods adopted by the government to control the amount of money or to control credit into the economy, and thirdly, replacement of old money with new money. Fiscal measures include increase in taxes so that people have got less money with them, or reduction in public expenditure so that again money flow in the economy decreases, or increase in public debt. Increase in public debt which leads to government having this surplus or removing this excess money from the general public. Or the government can use methods to encourage savings. The government can also go for balanced budget and ensure increase in production of goods and services if the inflation is led by a shortage of goods and services. And other methods that are include price control methods, which ensures that the prices of goods and services do not increase above a stated limit, or it can include providing more subsidy for provision of more goods and services in the economy. That was all for this video lecture. The mind map for this video lecture is provided in the link below. Have a nice day ahead. Keep learning, keep growing.